Good morning, and thank you for joining the Peel District School Board's live virtual recognition of Remembrance Day. Before we begin today's ceremony, I'd like to pause for a moment of reflection to acknowledge that we are here today on the territory of the Mississaugas of the Credit First Nation, home to the diverse First Nations, Inuit, and Métis peoples. I am honored to be on this land and give my gratitude to these communities and their elders, past and present, who protected the natural resources that we all benefit from today. I further acknowledge and ask you to join me in honoring the strength and resilience of all the First Nations, Inuit, and Métis people who continue to face the devastating impacts of colonization. As a visitor to this place, and in the spirit of truth, reconciliation, and collaboration, I promise to share and protect this land, commit myself to learning the true history, and celebrate the vast contributions First Nations, Inuit, and Métis peoples continue to make in the history of Canada. Today, in our tribute to those who served Canada, let us also pay homage to the courage, sacrifice, and service of the Indigenous veterans who answered the call of duty and served in uniform. From learning a new language to adopting to cultural differences, they overcame and endured many challenges. Remember them today. Once again, thank you for tuning into our ceremony to honor and pay tribute to the brave individuals who served and continue to serve our country. While we aren't able to gather in person again this year, I'm grateful you have chosen to join us virtually to remember the contributions of all Canadian lives who made the ultimate sacrifice for the peace they fought so hard to achieve. This year, we mark and remember many key highlights of Canadian military history. The 10th anniversary of the end of Canada's combat mission in Afghanistan, the 30th anniversary of the end of the Gulf War, and the 70th anniversary of the Battle of Kaepyeong, Canada's most significant action of the Korean War. This year, we also recognize the 100th anniversary of the poppy in Canada, a symbol of remembrance for millions of Canadians. As small as it may be, a poppy has made a difference in the lives of those who have fought for our country. It holds deep meaning and value for all of us. To reflect on this important milestone, I'm pleased to introduce members from our board's employee resource groups who will now share a reading with us entitled, Why Wear a Poppy? Following the reading, we will take a look at a special tribute by Peel board students.
Why Wear a Poppy? Written by Dawn Crawford. Please wear a poppy, the lady said, and held one forth, but I shook my head. Then I stopped and watched as she offered them there, and her face was old and lined with care.
But beneath the scars that the years had made, there remained a smile that refused to fade. A boy came whistling down the street, bouncing along on carefree feet.
His smile was full of joy and fun. "Lady," he said, "may I have one?" When she pinned it on him, he turned to say, "Why do you wear a poppy today?"
The lady smiled in her wistful way and answered, "This is Remembrance Day, and the poppy there is a symbol for the gallant ones who died in war.
And because they did, you and I are free. That's why we wear a poppy, you see? I had a boy about your size, with golden hair and big blue eyes.
He loved to play and jump and shout. Free as a bird, he would race about. And as the years went by, he learned and grew, and became a man, as you will too.
He was fine and strong with a boyish smile, but he'd seemed with us such a little while. When war broke out and he went away, I still remember his face that day.
When he smiled at me and said goodbye, "I'll be back, Mom, please don't cry." But the war went on, and he had to stay, and all we could do was wait and pray. His letters told of the awful fight. I can still see it in my dreams at night, with the tanks and the guns and the cruel barbed wire, and the mines and bullets and the bombs and fire.
Till at last, the war was won. And that's why we wear a poppy, son. The small boy turned as if to go, then said, "Thanks, lady. I'm glad to know. That sure did sound like an awful fight. But your son, did he come back all right?"
A tear rolled down each faded cheek. She shook her head, but didn't speak. I slunk away in a sort of shame, and if you were me, you'd have done the same. For our thanks in giving, if oft delayed, though our freedom was bought and thousands paid.
And so when we see a poppy worn, let us reflect on the burden borne
by those who gave their very all when asked to answer their country's call.
That we at home in peace might live, then wear a poppy, remember and give.
We wear poppies on Remembrance Day, and we wear it so we can remember the soldiers.
Today, I wear the poppy near my heart to remember those who sacrificed their lives so we can live a peaceful life.
I think the poppy represents the field zone where the First World War really happened and how the poppies grew on the graves of the dead soldiers.
Remembrance Day is originally called Armistice Day. Its meaning is to honor our soldiers, veterans, sea merchants, and air crew for what they've done for us and the sacrifices and the pain that they've gone through. We need to remember the people who stayed before us and the people who are still alive.
I think of honoring all the soldiers that have fought for us and our freedom and to what Canada currently is today.
When I think of Remembrance Day, I think of all the soldiers and veterans who lost their lives in the world wars and how much they sacrificed to shape Canada to the country it is today.
Remembrance Day makes me think of the soldiers that fought for us and our country, left their families and sacrificed themselves for our lives.
When I think of Remembrance Day, all I remember is the simple act of remembering. Remembering brings memories from the past and converts it into something that we can stand by and live by today. We must remember. If we do not, the sacrifices of those 100,000 Canadian lives will be meaningless. Those soldiers, those heroes, died for us, for their homes and families and friends, for a collection of traditions they cherished and a future they believed in.
As being a part of the Sikh community and Canadian, I remember those who were also part of the Sikh community and Canadian. Me being the same as them. They sacrificed their lives, their dreams, so we can live in peace.
It is important to acknowledge the Black Construction Battalion because they contributed a vital role to the World War by digging trenches and doing construction.
And it's very important that we recognize not just them, but any other racially profiled units. Like, there was lots of Asians and multicultures out there that were fighting for us. So it's very important to acknowledge them and thank them for what they've done.
I believe that no matter where you're from, you should be honored and celebrated for the things that you've done when it requires bravery and sacrifice.
They may have not been a big group of their race, but they still did contribute.
We shouldn't discriminate or lose someone's effort and someone's sacrifice that they made just based on their ethnicity, their culture, their race, their background. Everyone who gave effort, who gave sacrifice, who put in the time, the sweat, the blood, the loss for our country, for our freedom, should be recognized and should be awarded because of that.
On Remembrance Day, we acknowledge the courage and sacrifices of those who served our country, who helped us when we were in fear, hiding in our houses, who helped us go outside and do what we would not do. And additionally, we pledge our responsibility to maintain the peace that the Canadian Armed Forces fought so hard to achieve.
I think we should continue honoring our veterans who have served us in the world wars by continuing to advance humanity as it stands so that their sacrifices for our freedom wasn't wasted.
That was so beautiful. Thank you to all the students who participated in the video to share your heartwarming stories and reflections with us. As seen in the video, we also received artwork from Peel students. Thank you to all of our students who submitted your wonderful creations. As Canadians, we are proud of our diversity and remember the contributions that were made by those who identify as Indigenous, Black, African, Afro-Caribbean, Sikh, Chinese, 2S LGBTQ+, and other communities. They were also fathers, mothers, sons and daughters who we lost in action, who returned back with the physical and mental scars of war, and who stayed behind to support the war front. For their service, sacrifice, and for building a nation that is home to so many of us today, we must remember them always. Next, we have a reading entitled The Black Soldiers Lament, which will be read by a member of Peel Association of African Canadian Educators. Following the reading, we will hear from the Fletcher's Meadows Secondary School Choir, who have dedicated a song to all the veterans on this day of remembrance.
Black Soldiers Lament. The bugle called, and forth we went, to serve the crown our backs far bent, and build whate'er that must be done, but ne'er to fire an angry gun. No heroes we, no, nay, not one. With deep lament we did our job, despite the shame our manhood robbed. We built and fixed again, to prove our worth as proud Black men. and hasten shore the Kaiser's End. From Scotia Port to Seaford Square, across to France, the conflict there, at Ville, La Joux, and Place Perron, for God and King to right the wrong. The number 2, 600, strong. Stripped to the waist and sweated chest, midday's reprieve, much needed rest. We dug and hauled and lifted high, from trenches deep toward the sky, non-fighting troops, and yet we die. The peace restored, the battle won. Black sweat and toil had beat the Hun. Black blood was spilled, black bodies maimed. For medals brave, no black was named. Yet, proud we were, our pride unshamed. But time will bring forth other wars, then give to us more daring chores, that we might prove our courage strong, preserve the right, repel the wrong, and proud we'll sing the battle song.
Dum 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 dum. Imagine there's no heaven. It's easy if you try. Know how below us. Above us, only sky. Imagine all the people living for today. Imagine there's no countries. It isn't hard to do. Nothing to kill or die for, and no religion too. Imagine all the people living life in peace. You may say I'm a dreamer, but I'm not the only one. I hope someday you will join us, and the world will be as one.
Thank you for that heartwarming reading, and to Fletcher's Meadow students for sharing this beautiful performance with us. Each one of us has had different experiences of war. While for some, it is a phenomenon seen through media or a journalist's account, another person may have lived it at the very core of their being, from the loss and suffering of a parent, child, or loved one, to the displacement or destruction of their home. And for some communities, these painful consequences of war have affected them across generations to this day, and will continue to impact their families and future descendants. This day gives us an opportunity to reflect deeper on the experiences each one of us have had or will continue to have in our history of war. And now we have one last powerful presentation to share, a poem entitled Through a Child's Eyes, read by a member of M Hope, Mental Health of Peel employees.
Through a Child's Eyes by Kelsey Adler. Through a child's eyes, they saw the glory the medals and stars shining like beacons in the night. Through a child's eyes, they saw the power, the tanks chewing up ground, cold metal monsters. Through a child's eyes, they saw the world. The blues, the greens, so clean and pure. But when they arrived, they no longer saw through the eyes of a child. Through a man's eyes, they saw the destruction, the death of men and futile dreams. Through a man's eyes, they saw the pain, pleading men, begging for death, sobbing women, praying for mercy. Through a man's eyes, they saw the villains, colors blurring, worlds spinning, the mud pulling them forever down. Through a man's eyes, they saw their lives so close to ending, living only for the next moment, living only by the breath they drew. Through a man's eyes, they saw the truth. We were not there, and now fall only empty tears. Through blood and hell, through pain and war, they went for our freedom, for our lives.
As you know, at 11 a.m., it's customary to play the last post, the salute to the fallen soldier. Shu Lee, a grade 12 student from Kothra Park Secondary School, will perform the last post, which will be followed by 2 minutes of silence and O Canada. While the last post is played, I ask that wherever you are, please stand if you are able to. Thanks again to all of our staff volunteers and students who shared powerful messages of strength, courage, and reflection. Thank you for joining me today to remember and honor our heroes. Let's wear the poppy proudly today for our heroes so they know that they are always in our hearts and that we are forever grateful to them. Stay healthy and be safe.
The day I shipped out, they numbered a dozen. Upon my return, we're 100 or so. From the coast and from the prairies, I bet they keep coming. Add one more name from Ontario and carry me home down the highway of heroes. People above with the flags flying low. Carry me softly down the highway of heroes. True patriot love, there was never more. I served with distinction, no visions of glory. I served without question, a personal gift.